G'day buddies, I am Jackaroo Turu, and on this channel I talk about Australian Aboriginal languages, predominantly about languages from the northwest of Australia, which is where I have been to study such languages. And in this video we are going to look at words. This grammatical marker comes into the picture and is relevant too. And we have some sentences. So words, grammatical markers and sentences all become jumbled together, which is so often the case when you talk about language, any given language. So anyway, in the previous video, in this one, I introduced the Ngarla toponym markers. So they are place name markers then. We looked at nya and the other toponym marker malu. Now, we might ask ourselves the question, why would you feel the need to have special place name markers which are used to indicate that you are talking about a place? Well, this may be relevant when you have names for places that are nouns, nouns with other senses. So in the previous video, the Australian town Marble Bar was mentioned. The town whose name is pronounced Marble Bar in Australian English. And the traditional Ngarla name for this place is Piparn. But it so happens that Piparn is also the name for the green birdflower bush, whose bark was used for sandals. Yes, sandals were a thing even before the Europeans arrived in the area, and whose juice, which was squeezed out of it, was used as eye ointment. So in any given context, it might be relevant, or it would have been relevant to know when someone said Piparn, were they talking about the bush, or were they talking about the place named for the bush? And it may well have been the case that this was a place where there were many such bushes. We have other places named in that way for something that was common or frequent in that place. Just outside of Port Hedland, in the Pilbara region of northwestern Australia, is this place called Mikurr-nya in Ngarla. And I talk more about this place and the story connected to the place in this video. So Mikurr is jealousy. So Mikurr-nya then is the jealousy place. Yes, and see that other video to learn more about why it is the jealousy place. So when I was there one early morning with my main Ngarla consultant Sandy and a couple of other people, he said the following thing. I have this recorded, by the way, with a voice recorder and also on video. And he said, "Nyai yoro Mikurr-nya, yoropara pilora." So, nyai, the demonstrative for something that is close by. Yoro, country in the Aboriginal sense, so that is land or area. And we might translate this to this area is the jealousy place. Yes, something like that, to make sense of it. Jodopara pilura. This area belongs to the Pilu family. Of course, family is not stated overtly here, but Pilu is the name of a Ngarla family. Yes, on that same outing we came to this place, and we have this word here in two versions, padu and Parturr, which both mean feather. This has given name to the Parturr station, one of the cattle stations there in the area, but originally it was the name of a riverbed or a river, and it still is for the Ngarlas, of course. So Sandy said the following: Nyai wandai Parturr, Ngartangka-nya rainda. So this river, feather. This river is feather, or is called feather. You note that there is no verb for is or was here or up here. A copula verb is not necessary. Ngartangka-nya rainda. So no copula verb. So this was my mother's waterhole. And you note here that there is a term that means mother's mother. There are also terms for mother's father, father's father, and father's mother, just as we have such terms in the Scandinavian languages. And I should, and I will, a little bit further down the line, do a series about kinship, Aboriginal kinship and kinship terminology. This is an area where it all gets incredibly complicated. There are so many terms to keep track of. Yes, anyway, here we have double case marking, so essentially this is my here, but we have double dative case marking. Double case marking is very common in this part of Australia, the northwest, and it gets fairly complicated as well, but I don't intend to talk more about that here and now. So essentially this was my mother's waterhole. And then last we have this name. This is the Ngarla name for the place where the De Grey Station homestead was built in 1864. This was the first cattle station to be established in this part of Australia on Ngarla territory. And perhaps I should say, but they started to build it in 1864. After a few years, they had realized that this area was prone to flooding. So in 1867, they actually moved the homestead. But this then is the name for the place where the original homestead was built. Unfortunately, we have not been able to figure out what Pinyja meant. It must have meant something originally. This seems to be man, Ngarla, and locative. So what this means is the place of the something man. But then we don't know what something. So toponym markers and the names of places that are nouns also used in other senses. That's all for today. See you later.